Hello everyone, this is Chelsea from Those with Words. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I am going to talk more about the low spend, which I have been attempting this year so far in 2024, some of my reasons behind why I'm trying this low spend, and also how it's been going. I have a spending sort of event and wish list page out here. This is in my 5th anniversary Licio Green plotter in the Bible size. This is my personal planner, and I just wanted to have this out here because one, I'm going to talk about it later, and two, there's something interesting for you to look at, hopefully, while I chat through my thought process. This is going to be a chatty video, so buckle up and let's get started. So one of the reasons that I want to try a low spend for especially the first half of this year is because I know that I spend more in the second half of the year. So these are some of the events that I'm talking about. The first one is SF Pen Show, which is in late August. And that is a local pen show to me that I've been to every year for a couple of years now. And I always seem to come away with something from there. So that's actually one reason. Another reason is Techo Kaigi 2025, or just buying next year's notebooks, whether it's refills for my personal planner, this plotter right here, or just other planners and notebooks that I want to try for 2025. I know that I'm going to be looking into some of those things, and that is going to be a spending item. And then just in general, for holiday gifts as well in Q4, especially the last 3 months of the year, it's really busy with holiday shopping, family gifting, things like that. And the budget really gets hit pretty hard during those months. So I know that I spend more in the latter half of the year. So in the first half of the year, I am trying to minimize my spending now so that I can budget more accordingly for the following half. Another reason I wanted to do a low spend is that I already have a pretty large collection of stationery goods, and I really want to focus on using things up. And I love the feeling of like an empty sticker sheet, for example, so I want to feel that a little bit more instead of buying more and adding to my collection, which already to me feels a little bit overwhelming at times. So that's also an approach and a reason as to why I am attempting a low spend right now. I did something similar to this for the first half of the year in 2022, I think. I can't remember if it's 2021 or 2022. As many of you can probably relate, the last couple years have a tendency of blending together. But I think when I tried the low spend for the first half of the year, it worked out really well for me. So I am repeating that approach for this year. Last year, 2023, was a little bit of an exception because I traveled to Japan in spring and I bought a lot of stationery there. And then also in the later half of the year, I still spent quite a bit of money, despite the fact that I was already in Japan in the spring. So 2023, in terms of stationery and hobby spending, was pretty spendy for me. So I'm also recognizing that coming into this year and trying to minimize that a bit. I don't have any specific rules other than just to spend as little as possible in the first half of the year to start. So for instance, I am just basically not buying unless I absolutely love something, which it can be hard to find because I have very specific preferences and likes when it comes to stationery. There are a few brands that I am very partial to, which I'll go into in a little bit. But other than that, I am trying to be really good and minimize my stationery spending. So last year, as I mentioned, I was a bit spendy on stationery and related items. My actual main goal last year was to spend at a few big events, which initially felt intentional and good, but then in terms of dollar amounts, I still ended up spending quite a bit. So I already talked about my spring trip to Japan, and last year's SF Pen Show, I came away with this beautiful Franklin Christoph pen. This is a Model 20. This is what I'm talking about is in terms of pen shows and events, I always go to them thinking, I don't really have anything on my wish list. I am not going to buy anything from this show. And then I always end up coming away with something like this beautiful pen. I got it with their signature Signib, which in the medium size, which I really love, and I really enjoy how this pen writes. But yeah, in terms of my budget, it was not exactly the best planned. I still enjoy the pen, of course, and I don't regret purchasing it, but these types of things are the things that I want to be a little bit more mindful of and be a bit better about predicting my spending in that way. I also got this pen. This is the Yoseka Home Pen. This is my first ever Sailor Pro Gear, and it has that beautiful 21K bicolor nib, which I love. And this is a pen that, again, I really enjoy and I don't regret purchasing at all, but it did take out a good chunk from my budget. Even though I had a gift card to supplement my purchase, it was still pretty pricey. Again, really love it, and I'm so glad that I have this pen in my collection, but that also really contributed to a big chunk of spending. And then I also participated in an event called Creative Expo, where one of my friends, Judy from Tokubetsu Memory, offered to do some personal shopping for a group of people. And so this event takes place in Taiwan, and so you would order through her line group, and it was a really fun experience. I did it 2 years in a row, 2023 and 2022. I had a blast and it was a great time, but I did end up buying quite a bit, so that added up too, which is why the event this year on the list is like a maybe. There's like a little squiggle right there, and it's a maybe for me because I'm still really enjoying what I bought from the previous 2 years. And then there's obviously just Techo Kaigi, which I've talked a little bit about before, but just buying refills and notebooks for the following year can also add up, and they come surprisingly quickly in terms of their availability. So planners and notebooks for next year start getting ready or, being available for pre-order and things as early as like August of the previous year, which feels a little funny because, the new year isn't until 4 or 5 months out from then, and you're still thinking about, oh, what am I going to use next year? So that's kind of the funny process, but it's something I'm aware of. It's something I've been participating in the last few years, so that's also something I am thinking about. And those are some of the things that I have just spent money on last year, and there were other things that I spent money on too. So I'm thinking about my purchases and reviews playlist, and there were definitely other items that I unboxed and shared last year on this channel. So this year I am much more focused on the dollar amount, and I'm not tracking it here, but I am tracking my spending digitally on a spreadsheet just so it's easier to add up on a monthly basis and for me to review together. So far, in terms of my progress this year, I was successful in not buying any stationery goods from January through March. So the first quarter was really good. I specifically didn't really check for new products from different websites that I like to visit, just because I know that just looking at things can really tempt me into spending more money. So I specifically didn't really check a lot of social media for that reason. But I did end up pre-ordering some Travelers Company Tokyo Edition goods this month for around $45 US dollars. And I got the blank refill, and I also got the brass charms and also the sticker set. Those three are the items from this particular edition that I really loved and wanted to add. I held back on buying the actual Tokyo edition cover, the black Traveler's Notebook cover, because I already have this black Traveler's Notebook from the Superior Labor Kurashiki, which I purchased last year when I went to Japan. And I still really love this cover. It's something that I actually haven't used in a couple of months, so I might move back into this pretty soon, actually. I miss it a lot. And as you can see, there is some good wear and tear because I have brought it with me to a few places and really used it a lot last year. So because I already have this traveler's notebook in black, I held back on buying that specific Tokyo edition cover. I also made this wish list at the beginning of this year, and I'm really only adding to the list when I've been thinking about something for a long time. And even then, it's not necessarily a, quote unquote must buy. It's more of like a quote unquote as the chance to buy comes up. So if I don't acquire these items this year, I'm not necessarily going to be upset or sad about it. It's just that, if the right opportunity comes up, then I will look into these items. And so far, I have not purchased any of these, but we'll see how it goes. Especially with the SF Pen Show coming up, I can see myself looking at the Pilot Vanishing Points there. I also looked at them last year there, but I didn't love any of the colorways that were being offered. So we'll see if this year maybe one of them catches my eye. We'll see how it goes. In terms of general reflections, so my big shopping sprees from last year, namely the Japan trip and Creative Expo in Taiwan, they're actually tiding me over well into this year. I don't feel like I have to be at every special event or a show to get, exclusives or anything, because I have so many special things from those two events that I still really love. Not to repeat myself too much about this traveler's notebook, but this is a really good example where I actually visited Kurashiki, I went to the Superior Labor store, I customized this, and ordered it myself and got it while I was there. So this traveler's notebook is really special to me, to the point where unless there's another black traveler's notebook that's equally as special, I don't particularly see myself wanting to add it to my collection. And now, just because I said that, maybe Traveler's Company will make amazing black traveler's notebooks over the next couple years, who knows. But yeah, as of right now, like this particular one is really special, and because of that, I'm able to resist other covers from Traveler's Company. I hope that makes sense. And for me, the fear of missing out, or FOMO, when it comes to stationery purchases is lessened by just more controlled time on my social media, which honestly results in less engagement for my own content. So if I don't spend as much time on social media, I don't engage as much, I don't post as much, then I don't get as much traction on stuff that I post. But at the same time, it's helping my mental health and financial well-being. So overall, I think it's a plus in my book that I have overall just reduced my time on social media websites and just been more mindful about where I spend my free time. And this is a quick shout out to my Olive Traveler's Notebook. I have organized this in a way where I've put in my washi samples here, my PET tape and washi tapes here. This is my current memory keeping insert. I have some stickers and papers here. So this particular setup has been working really well for me in terms of actually using what I have. And I do have a setup video for this as well, which I will link down below. And I also am using this sticker release paper from Traveler's Company in a very similar way. These are just stickers and samples and things that I have put in here, and I love having these two together. And I hope to continue using more from my stash, whether it's samples from friends or just stuff from my own collection. This has been a really great combo so far in the month of April. And speaking of shout outs, I do want to talk about other creators whose low spend progress has really inspired me. So Toasty Treat has a Substack, and she's been documenting her low spend for the year. And it's kind of like a public accountability type thing, and there's updates, and I find them really insightful and interesting. And then I believe Lindsay Scribbles has also shared a YouTube video about her spending and how, she wants to approach that. And I always think it's really interesting to hear other people talk about their low spends, how they approach them. And I think for these two folks that I mentioned, they actually have more specific rules and guidelines for themselves, which you might find interesting. So I will leave their links down in the description box. And if you're doing a low spend yourself this year, or just know of other people's content where they talk about their low spend, please leave some comments down below. I would love to see and check it out. But yeah, that is my update so far on my low spend. I have spent $45 this year on stationery, so I would like to think I'm on the right track, but we'll see what the next couple of months bring, and I would love to keep you updated as well throughout the year. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope to see you next time back on this channel. Thank you again. Take care. Bye.